So let's check out another Linux distribution called Tails. What's up guys, it's Josh back with another video, and today I want to do another Linux distribution review. And the one that's on today's chopping block is a distribution called Tails, and I've done a video on it. I believe I did a video about 2 years ago on this distribution, but Tails is basically a privacy focused operating system based on Debian Linux. And also Tails is an acronym, and the meaning behind it is the Amnesic Incognito Live System. That's what it stands for, so Tails. But it was designed to provide people with a level of anonymity and privacy when using the internet. And one reason how it does that is by the operating system made to run on a USB drive, and it doesn't save any files at all on the system. And one other cool feature about it, it runs all its internet connections through the Tor network. And if you guys have never heard of Tor, Tor stands for the Onion Router, which is basically a free and open source software that enables anonymous communications over the internet. And I can break it down a little more, but I do have a video on the Tor network and how it actually works, where I break down how the communication works on that network. But it's an awesome way of staying anonymous on the internet while browsing and do everything else you want to do on the system. But some of the known security features of Tails is the encryption, the anonymity tools, as well as, like Tor, as well as secure communication tools like Ricochet, and a whole bunch of built-in privacy tools like HTTPS everywhere, no script, Thunderbird with OpenPGP, and the operating system, like I said, it's made to run from a USB drive, or you can also install it on a DVD drive. And I want to reiterate that all the internet traffic is routed through the Tor network by default. So that makes it super cool and anonymous. Now, most of the people out here that use Tor, or like journalists or activists, as well as people like you and me that want to protect their privacy, you may stay in a country that censors a lot of information. Well, by using this operating system that kind of routes everything through Tor, you can circumvent that censorship by getting to sites that you typically wouldn't be able to if you weren't using this distribution. Now, I really want to say this as well about Tails. Even though it provides a high level of like privacy and anonymity, but no tool or software can guarantee complete security and anonymity online. It's all about the appropriate precautions that you take, as well as following best practices while being connected to the internet. So let's hop over to the website so I can show you guys everything about the Tails operating system. So let's get over there now. Before we move forward, I wanted to give a quick shout out to CIQ, the official partner of Rocky Linux. Rocky Linux is a Linux distribution that is intended to be a downstream complete binary compatible release using the Red Hat Enterprise Linux operating system source code. The project is led by Gregory Kurtzer, who was the founder of the CentOS project. So check out Rocky Linux at ciq.co. Alright, so we are at tails.boom.org. That's the link, and of course I'll always have that link down in the description of the video. But right off at the top it says Tails is a portable operating system that protects against surveillance and censorship. That's specifically why it was built. And you guys have heard me say this in other videos, but there are plenty of distributions out there that are built for specific purposes, and that's the specific purpose that Tails was created for, is to protect you. But it's all based on how you use it. But let's get a little more information. But it says avoid surveillance, censorship, advertising, and viruses. It says Tails uses the Tor network to protect your privacy online and help you avoid censorship. Enjoy the internet like it should be. your secure computer anywhere. So shut down the computer and start on your Tails USB stick. And that's what I was going to break down to you guys. That's essentially how you use it. That's why they put a tent here, or a person setting up a tent. Basically, you don't leave a trace, you know what I'm saying? By using a system, you can shut down any system, plug in the USB, boot up Tails, use the internet. You know, no one will know that you were there because you didn't access the current operating system on the hard drive for that system. But yeah, like it says, shut down the computer and store it on the Tails USB stick instead of storing Windows, Mac OS, and Linux. Tails leaves no trace on the computer when shut down. And then right here, digital security toolbox. And basically this talks about the tools that you have in there. So Tails includes a selection of applications to work on sensitive documents and communicate securely. Everything in Tails is ready to use and has safe defaults. So that's one cool thing about it. They specify that all the tools that they put into the operating system, not specify, but they make sure all the tools that are included with the operating system, you know, have the safe settings on it to prevent you from, you know, information being leaked out in any way. It's all going through the Tor network, and you really don't have to worry about it. Now, also, Tails is free software. It's free and open source. It's based on Debian, and that's essentially what this is saying right here. You can download Tails for free, and independent security researchers can verify our work, and that's true. You can verify the ISO that you download, so you're good to go. And then down below they have a little news, so you can check this out. But these are the people that typically use it, so activists, journalists, and other sources, domestic violence survivors, so as well as you know, like I said earlier. And one cool thing about Tails, it was endorsed by Edward Snowden back in the day. He says, if you look at the way post 2013 whistleblowers have been caught, it is clear that obsolete most important things you can do to maintain your anonymity is to reduce the number of places in your operational activity where you can make mistakes. Tor and Tails still do precisely that. And that's from, you know, Edward Snowden. And as well as, you know, some other information or other quotes by the Tor project, the founder of the Tor project, as well as EFF, so that's the Electronics Frontier Foundation. And then they also have sponsorships. You can sponsorship, you can donate to the project, you know, all that. Now, how Tails works, I won't go through this. You could check this out for yourself. I kind of gave you the overview of how to actually get it and use it, but we're gonna get it up and going so I can show you guys everything about it. But installation, so you can go here to the install Tails tab. This will break down how to actually get it. Just click on whichever one you're using, like whatever operating system you're using. And mainly what you want to do is clone it to a USB drive. And what I recommend is, if you want to put it on a USB drive, make sure it's a pretty decent sized USB drive so you can set up persistence, because you do have an option for persistence in order to store like documents and certain things on it, because like I said, it's a one-time use distribution or one-time use operating system. Anything you open up, run, save on the system will be wiped out every time you restore the system. So you start fresh every single time, unless you set up a persistence drive, which some people do in order to store documents as well as other files, passwords and all that stuff. You can store that on the persistence drive. And as you can see right down here, you can click here. This will walk you through how to install it on a USB. Now you do have other options. You can download only for USB sticks. You can also burn Tails to a DVD. That's another option. You can also run Tails in a virtual machine, which is a good way of doing it, and that's the way I'm gonna show you guys how to do it here. And I won't set up persistence or anything. I'll just walk you guys through how to get it installed. But you can download it right now. They're currently on version 5.10. It's 1.3 gigabytes, so I recommend getting like a 20 gig or a 30 gig USB drive in case you want to save some files on it or whatever. But yeah, this is a super cool distro that'll help protect your identity online. Now let's hop over to my virtual machine so I could get this thing booted up and we can walk through what it actually looks like and how to use it. Okay, cool. So I created a virtual machine, and just so you guys know, you don't really need much hardware because it's going to run everything from the CD. But I put some hardware on it anyway. I think I gave it like 32 gigabyte hard drive, as well as 8 gigs of RAM, so it'll run pretty good on the system. I mean, similar to you plugging it in to a real system. But none of that actually matters because it's not going to write anything to the hard drive at all. It's going to run everything from the USB. So let's go down and start this distro. And I wanted to show you guys the first things that'll show up. There's basically a Tails and a Tails troubleshooting mode. We're going to just go to the Tails version. If you need to troubleshoot, that's what that's built for right there. So let's go down and press enter there. It'll automatically go to that. I just stopped it. I think it's a countdown in there. But it'll go down and boot up the operating system. And depending on the hardware, it may take some time, but most of the time on modern USB drives, you know, it'll boot up fairly quickly. But like on a DVD, which a lot of people don't have CD drives or DVD drives anymore, it may take some time because that technology is getting older now, and so it's slower to boot up. But this is the first thing that will pop up, and that's what I wanted to show you guys. And this will pop up every single time you boot up the operating system, just so you guys know, because like I said, this system is fully live. You know what I'm saying? It's not saved in any way. You can't install it. It won't pop up with an installer, and it's made to run as if you downloaded it today, you know, every single time. But just show you guys a few of the options here. You do have shutdown, you have start Tails right here. That'll start with the settings that are set here. And what it'll do is it'll just put the defaults in here, which is English, and that's the language. So you can go in and modify this. So if you need a different language, all you have to do is click here, boom, you can find whatever language you want, add it, change it. That'll change the language of the operating system. And then the keyboard layout, you can change that as well. All you gotta do is click on it. And then the format, this is, you know, just your formats for everything. So we're gonna use United States English for me. So the defaults work for me, but if it doesn't work for you, you can go down and change it depending on your location, what language you speak, and all that good stuff. Now, persistent storage. This is one of those options I was telling you about. You can set persistent storage, and I'll just read a little bit what it says right here. It says, you can save some of your files and configurations in an encrypted persistent storage. And this is the key word right here. It's encrypted. So you don't really have to worry about anybody getting access to it, because it's going to set a password. And as long as you don't set up an easy password, is something you can remember, you know, you can get into your persistent storage on the USB drive, and it'll be stored on the USB stick when you create this. So all you have to do is hit create persistent storage, and right there it'll say you will create and configure your persistent storage after starting Tails. So after it boots up the operating system, you can set up your persistent storage with a password, all that stuff. It'll be encrypted. I'm gonna just turn it off for right now because we don't need it. Now there are some additional settings you could change, and what I want to do is show you guys what it is by clicking here. This will open up the help, so you can check out exactly what they're talking about under the additional settings. Now for one, you can set up a administrative password if you want to. MAC address anonymization, so you can disable that. This will disable the MAC address anonymization, but by default it keeps that on. You know what I'm saying? And if you guys don't know, the MAC address is basically what identifies the hardware of the system. It's an identification ID for the network device of that computer. Every network device that's produced has what they call a MAC ID, and most of the time it's different from anyone in the world, but I'm sure some manufacturers probably have used the same IDs, you know, for MAC addresses, but the MAC address is typically different, you know, per each device on each system, as far as the internet device that's on your system. But by default, what this does is it anonymizes that MAC address by changing it to something totally random, so people can identify the system that you are actually using Tails from, or whatever you're doing on the system. but you do have that option to turn it off. And then also we have an offline mode. This will allow no internet connection. This is the highest security you can set on the operating system. If you don't have any internet access, nothing you do on that system can be, you know, monitored or seen because you're not connected to the internet at all. That's the offline mode. You can set that. And that's this is only for this one boot up. You know what I'm saying? I want to keep reiterating that this is just for this one boot up of the operating system. And when you go back, when you log out of it or shut it down, boot it back up, it'll ask you if you want to turn that back on or not. So it's only for that one instance. And then we have unsafe browsing, so you can turn that on if you want to. That'll allow you to not use Tor for everything. And so that's those options. And then they also have some keyboard shortcuts and all that stuff that you can modify or change, you know, for the system. Now we're not gonna make any settings down here in any way, no additional settings. We're not gonna set up persistent storage yet. I'll probably make another video just showing you guys persistent storage by itself, but let's go down to store tail so you guys can see what it does. And now it's going to boot up with all the settings that we had, you know, set there, which we didn't make any changes. And this is what it'll boot up once you, or this is how it will boot up once you get into the system. Now what I did was I went in and changed the display settings so it'll, you know, show right while I'm recording. But this is the first pop-up that'll pop up. It's basically telling you how you want to connect to the internet. Everything you do on the internet from Tails goes through the Tor network, and so these are just some of the options that you have. Tor encrypts and anonymizes your connection by bypassing it through 3 relays. Tor relays or servers operated by different organizations and volunteers around the world, and you can actually become one of these volunteers by setting up a node. And these options are mainly to help people with censorship. In a lot of places they monitor for Tor traffic and they don't want people to use Tor. You know what I'm saying? Well, it's a way to get around it by setting yourself up as a relay, and you'll be the first relay in the connection to Tor. And so this allows you to get on Tor around that censorship that may be set up, and people won't actually know that you're using Tor. And that's what these 2 options are for right here. So right here it basically says connect to Tor automatically. So that's something we want to do, but you can also set up a Tor bridge. And that's what I mean by relay. You'll be a bridge, basically. That's the correct term. And I'll click on that so you can see. It says Tor bridges or secret Tor relays. Use a bridge as the first Tor relay if connection to Tor or blocked. So that's the whole purpose of, you know, this option right here. You can set it up as a Tor bridge or a Tor relay. And if I click here, that'll set up that relay for you. Now right here, down here, it says hide my local network that I'm connected to Tor, which is kind of redundant because if I click here, that'll go away. This is basically going to do this exact same thing as almost selecting this and this. And let's click right here just so you guys can see. But Tails will only connect to Tor after you configure a Tor bridge, you know, if you select down here. So that'll block the internet unless you have a bridge set up. And this just gives you the option up here to, you know, set up connecting to Tor automatically and configuring a Tor bridge. But you can still connect, you know, to Tor without a bridge. But this will specify if you only want to connect to Tor or if you only can connect to the internet through Tor or not. So I'm gonna unselect the configure Tor bridge because we don't need it. I'm gonna just roll with connecting to Tor automatically and hit connect to Tor, and this will connect all your network connections. That's the easiest way to set it up. Connect all your settings through Tor. And one other thing about the bridge that I didn't explain, and I explained it in one of my Tor videos. In order to set up if you set up a Tor bridge or if you become a Tor relay, then just note that connections will be coming through your system over the Tor network, because your system will be looked at as another node that people could jump to. through their 3 layers of protection or 3 layers of encryption. So if someone, let's say someone in Greece, they are connecting to Tor, and it automatically, like, it looks for relays. And so let's say it finds my computer, it'll find my computer as a relay, and it'll route that person's in Greece traffic through my connection as well. So you have connections coming in and out from different people, and your connections are going out as well to other people within the Tor network. I just kind of wanted to explain that for you guys. Now right here, connected to Tor successfully. Now you can start the Tor browser. Most people, that when they connect Tails or start Tails up, most of the time they're going to get on the internet so they can browse anonymously. So you can start Tor browser from here. You can also check out your view Tor circuits, which that'll show you guys your connections right there. So your onion circuit right here. So I don't have no problem showing you guys this because it doesn't have my IP address in any way, but that'll break everything out for you right there. But we are now connected to the Tor network, and it'll open up the Tor browser with all the security features that you want on here. Now the Tor network is super slow, so I'm not gonna wait for this to load. I just wanted to show you guys this, but that'll connect you to the Tor. You can close this after that, but that'll show up every single time you log into it. And just so you guys know, this will let you know if you're connected to Tor. So this is your circuit. It'll show the full onion. It won't have the X over it. So right now all your connections through this system will go through Tor. Now let's just break down a few of the applications that are installed on here. Like I said, it has pretty much everything you need to use for an operating system, and is set to where it's as anonymous as possible. So just show you guys the things under favorites. This is the favorite. So you got your Tor browser, Tor connections, you can check that out. Persistent storage, like I said, you can set up your persistent storage after the fact. You don't have to do it in the beginning. You can set it up here. There's the documentation. You got your whisper back error reporting, so if you want to check that out. Tails installer, so you can create another installer. Instead of downloading it from the website, you can create another one from this system right here. Now you have Thunderbird, KeePass XC, Cleopatra, so that's on there. That's the favorites. But you have normal file normal accessories that will pop up on any system. So you got your file explorer, and like I said, none of this stuff is saved, so unless you have a persistent drive, so it's nothing you can do about it. It'll wipe it after the fact, which is a good thing, but you can set up that persistent storage. Now you got GTK hash, KeePass, Cleopatra. That shows that some of that's under the favorites, but metadata cleaner, text editor, Vim, that's on here. Graphics, so you got GIMP, which is my favorite, media editor or picture editor. You got image viewer, Inkscape, LibreOffice, Draw. Under internet, you got Electron, Bitcoin wallet. You have Onion circuits, Onion share, and none of this stuff will be saved. Like I said, anything you use on here, it's not gonna be saved. So you would have to log into everything. Like if you want to set up your Pigeon internet messenger, or something like that, it's not going to save any of it. It's like one-time use. So Thunderbird, Tor browser, Tor connection, and then you do have some unsafe browsers, so that's there as well. Now you have some office applications as well, like LibreWriter, Draw, Calc, Office, sound. You got Audacity, Brazio to burn discs, Sound Juicer, system tools. So you got your Synaptic package manager on here, and like I said, if you use Debian, then this is very simple to use. It just doesn't save anything. And then we can go under Tails. Now this is where you can get your documentation. You can add additional software, the documentation about Tails. Let's click on about Tails right fast. We're using 5.10, so just wanted to show you guys that. But let's go back under here. But you got your Tails installer, so if you need to install it to another USB, you get to go. And then your utilities, so you got a terminal, you got a system monitor, crypto volumes if you want to unlock them, and that's dealing with the persistent drives, archive manager, disk usage, you know, all the good stuff, utilities that you want to see. Now under places, I didn't want to show places because it's basically this that I already had it up open. It's your file explorer essentially. And you can also browse the network. If you have something on your network, share drives, all that stuff, you can connect to them if you want to. Now under activities, this will bring up the start menu. This will show you basically all the applications that we just looked at, like if you're using any other version of Debian. You got multiple desktops if you need it, as well as the applications, the different applications that are open, they'll pop up here. So if you know how to use this desktop environment, it's pretty much the same. And right here on the desktop, you know, it'll show you the documentation again, that'll link to it, report an error if you need to, as well as your trash can. Now just show you guys something under here. So if we go back under applications and go to system tools, I kind of wanted to show you guys these settings so we could bring that up. But bam, as you can see, super simple to use. I went in and changed my resolution so you guys can see this better. But your normal system settings, but like I said, it's not going to save any of it. It's going to change it every time you boot up, so you don't really have to worry about messing up anything. But that's pretty much it. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Tails is a interesting Linux distribution. I definitely want you guys to check it out, especially if you want to stay anonymous online. You can use Tails, you know, as an alternative to help you stay somewhat anonymous and private online using this Linux operating system. But at the end of the day, this is not 100% way of staying anonymous. You have to change the way you use the internet, really, and to change your mindset on how you use things, like logging into social media and all that stuff. So like I said, it's not 100%. If you get on Tails, log into your Facebook or something like that, then obviously someone is going to know exactly who you are because you're logging in to your Facebook account. These organizations, they track everything you do. So if they see that you're logging in from the system of Tails, then obviously someone is going to have a record of you actually using this operating system, and the location, the IP addresses, because you know when you log into these social media accounts, they want you to verify that it's really you, and it's mainly to protect you, but it's also a way to track you, you know, at the end of the day. And so it really defeats the purpose of using Tails if that's all you're going to do is log into all your social media accounts, get on the internet, log into your normal accounts. And it's the same thing with the Tor network. What's the point of using Tor if you're going to log into your personal accounts? So this system is built to be private. So if you wanted to go on and look at something without leaving any type of trace on your system that you actually went to something, and I'm not talking about anything illegal, I'm just saying, like, in general, if you want to go somewhere, just don't log in or anything like that. Otherwise someone can kind of figure out who you are and where you're located based on whatever account that you're logging into. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions, leave comments down in the comments below, and of course, keep it techie.